So I've got my client David here today, and we're going to chat about where he's at since joining the program almost 90 days ago, and where he was at, and some of the lessons that he's got along the process. And I know everyone's going to get a ton of value from this. So, David, where were you at, my man? To be fair, in your credit, you actually had a good foundation before starting, in terms of you're 66 years old, you've lived a healthy lifestyle for a long time. And it was a case of really getting you to the next level, right? But where were you at physically and mentally before joining the program almost 3 months ago?
Well, I live in Springfield, Illinois. It's central Illinois. It's very hot here right now. The corn and the soybeans love it, and the tomatoes. But anyway, I have been a member of a local CrossFit gym for about 10 years. I had gone out to California in the end of February, beginning of March, and my uh, brother, who was very close to me, I lost him when I came back from California. I mean, it was not unexpected. He had leukemia, but anyway, I got back from California. I was dealing with my brother. The point of this is to say that I didn't go back to CrossFit because I was, just kind of preoccupied. And then when he passed away, there was a lot going on with that. I didn't go back to CrossFit. I had some issues with my Achilles, a few other sciatica issues. So I just decided to back off and do some things on my own. I have some equipment in my basement. So I'm a big YouTube watcher, and I've seen you on YouTube. And I thought, I liked what I saw, and I signed up for your email, or I think you sent a weekly email, and I just get the email, and then you offered, I believe, is it the blueprint?
Yeah, the
What do you
shred
call it?
blueprint.
The
Yeah.
shred blueprint. So I thought, oh, sure, what the heck? I'll download it. And it asked me all these questions, and it asked me to include my phone number. I thought, well, that's weird. Why would he want my phone number? And I thought, well, maybe he's going to send me text and I'll just opt out. No big deal. So one Friday night, I go over to some friend's house for dinner, and I left my phone in the car. And when I got home, I looked at my phone, and there was a WhatsApp call, and I listened to it, and it's you. And I'm like, whoa, my God. I was starstruck. I thought, he's calling me. What the heck? This guy's all the way from Australia. So anyway, I called you back. We started talking, and I was just kind of taken by surprise. It wasn't something I was planning on doing, and you said, "Well, maybe we can work together." So we had an initial call, and I liked what I heard and decided why not give it a try. So yeah, that's how it all
Awesome, man.
began.
Great
And
to have you
then
on board. And it was a
uh,
Friday night as well, so because it was Saturday morning here, right? So I thought I'll just make a couple of calls, you know what I mean? And it was Friday night for you, and
yeah,
you had a couple of drinks as well, right? You weren't wasted in your defense.
I
Drinks.
wasn't counting. I was feeling no pain.
No, but that's something I want to touch on today as well, because for people in the audience, we have these misconceptions about getting in shape, and people automatically think, okay, I've got to be perfect. I've got to follow this diet. I've got to be really strict. I've got to apply willpower, which you do to an extent, but you can't rely on that for long-term success. You have to have a bit of a strategy, right? But what was your biggest challenges, David, before you kind of started? Because you've had some tremendous results, which we'll get to.
Oh, I would say, yeah, I was heavy. I was much heavier than I am now. And I was strong. I did a lot of, as I say, I did CrossFit. I have weights in my basement. I bike. I used to run. I can't run anymore, but rowing machine, do all that kind of stuff. But I was still big, heavier than I wanted to be. And I had never tracked my food. That's probably the biggest thing that I learned from you was tracking my food. Now I have a much better idea of, what's going into my body and how that translates to macros and calories. Um, so I would say that's the biggest change for me
Mm.
is having an idea of what I'm consuming. And it
Yeah,
makes a
exactly.
huge difference
Massive.
because, well, I will tell you, you also put me on 150 grams of protein as a minimum, and I often get more than that. But before that, I don't think, I have no idea how much I was eating.
Mm.
I can't tell you, but now uh, it just makes all the difference in the world knowing what I'm eating and what my set point or what my goals are for the day. And it's easy to
Absolutely.
do. It's easy to
It
do.
is easy to do. And that's what I say to people as well. Tracking is not the destination. It's more of a starting point, right, David? So
Yeah.
it's a good starting point. What gets measured
And
gets
after,
managed.
right. And after 3 months, I have a much better idea. Maybe I'm not tracking. I'm just admitting this to you right now.
Nah,
Maybe
it's all
I'm
good.
not
You're getting
tracking
results, man.
everything,
It's all good. It's not about being perfect.
I mean, I know I'm within range. It's like, oh,
Mm.
I'm not adding this a cup of green beans,
Yeah.
or
And I'm glad you made this point, right? Because at the start, at least for that first, I'd say month, being super tight and meticulous like you were, right? And then we started setting targets with fat and protein and everything else. And you've had tremendous results. But what would you say? I want to get into some of the challenges. I want to give the audience more of an insight into how you live. Because, like I say, in your credit, you live a healthy lifestyle. You have an aura rings. You track your sleep. Again, what gets measured can get managed. You've been aware of that. Like I said, you're active. You've trained for a long time, but this is a big one as well. You've completely changed your, I want to say, relationship with training, right? You're training smarter now. You're training for strength instead of, and it's
oh,
not
for
saying
sure,
anything away
because
from CrossFit,
yeah,
but
you
go
have
on.
given me a blueprint guideline for what to do every day, and I never did that before. So I recovering better, I believe, than I ever have. I probably am not doing as much volume as I was for many years, and I feel better than I have in a long time. So
100%.
I think that makes a huge difference. Uh, I've said this to you before, but my motto has been too much is never enough. And that's kind of the way I do things. It's overachieving in many ways, I might say. But I have learned to cut back a little bit, rest, take those rest days, and do the band workouts that are, just keep the blood pumping on an off day, and then I do my. I've been doing 3 days a week of the lifting, and it started with heavier, lower reps, and the phase we're in right now is the maybe a little lighter with higher reps.
Correct.
And I'm following your protocol, and I'm just trusting the process.
That's the key, isn't it, my man? You've just got stuck in, you just.
People are telling me I'm not as ugly as I used to be, so I'm going to take that as a win.
Hey, Lester, that's a good win within itself, isn't it? Hey, there we go. We can end this call here, right? That's the biggest results you've had. No, but I wanted to say something you touched on then, and a lot of people listening to this, generally they're going to be high achievers. They want to improve themselves, and I'm the same. I used to be the all or nothing king, where I would go absolutely all out in the gym. Obviously, bodybuilder back in the day, used to punish myself in the gym and just it was the same kind of mindset. Too much is never enough. But what that does is that holds you back, and especially as you get older, right? We got to take age into account. 66 years old now, you
Oh, for
can't
sure.
adapt. There's only so much the body can adapt to, right? So overcoming that though, David, because that's really tough for a lot of people. They get caught in the recovery trap. They like the way exercise makes them feel. We can use CrossFit as an example. He did that for 10 years. It's great because you're around like-minded people. There's a lot of just exercise is amazing. I'm all for it. But when it comes to getting results, you can easily cross the line, right? Because CrossFit is very much based on intensity, right? It's about
Yes.
pushing and that kind of stuff.
And then to be fair to the coaches that I've worked with at this particular place here in town, they're fantastic. And I think one of my issues was, as you see, I'm 66 years old, and I can't do the same things I could do 10 years ago when I started CrossFit. But were always open to helping me, scale things back. But it was my own problem because I wanted to keep going,
Yeah, of course. 100%.
So that mindset. So, but I do think this has taught me a lot to just kind of pull back a little bit and follow a different course, follow a different path for the time being. It's working. I
100%.
like.
And you've dropped a good amount of fat now from around your waist. It's coming off slowly but surely. You've dropped a few pounds and you're getting stronger as well, right? So how have you found that? Because you've changed the approach and it's a slow,
Well,
smart
it's
process as opposed to
interesting.
fast.
There was a big push, I don't know, 5 or more years ago at this gym. The coaches were really pushing the intermittent fasting, which I got on board, and I lost a lot of weight. Had to get new clothes, and uh, but I see pictures of myself, and I just was not happy with it. I looked like, pencil neck. I probably have a pencil neck anyway, but it just I didn't like the way I looked. So I knew nothing about prioritizing protein. Of course, that's you hear that every other YouTube video tells you to
No,
prioritize
but let's get
protein.
into that. They need to hear it from you, especially someone who's fasted as well.
Well, I'm telling you that eating this minimum 150 grams for me, I mean, everyone's different, but you prescribed that for me. That's made all the difference in the world. I have dropped weight. I am actually close to my lowest weight when I was intermittent fasting, but I am much bigger. I guess more muscular, I would say. Um, the other thing that, and I've talked to you about this, maybe a year or so ago, I started taking creatine. First of all, because it's supposed to be good for the muscle growth, but then also I understand it's very good for cognition, especially as you get older. So there's other benefits to creatine, but I take it every day. And I think that has made a big difference because, as I say, I'm around the same weight when I lost a bunch of weight, but I feel like I look fuller and, not as gaunt.
Mm. It's a slow body recomposition. So that's what the kind of term is for it, right? You're building muscle, you built a bit of muscle and strength, and you've been losing fat. So I always talk about this. It's like simultaneously, they're not happening together. The body's either anabolic, building muscle, or it's, in a deficit and losing fat, but they've been happening simultaneously, right? So with
Yeah.
the mindset though with food, because you talked about fasting and you used to do, just for the audience, what type of fasting do you used to do? Give us some more detail on that and tell us
Well,
how
I would
that's
do I
changed.
would do the 16-8
Okay.
protocol, but I would do at least once a week. I would do a 36-hour fast,
Mm. Mm.
and so that made I mean, the weight just dropped off so quickly.
But
Now,
you
from
also
what
lost muscle, like you say, right?
yeah, I'm sure I must have lost muscle mass, but I would do the in-body, if you're familiar with that body
Yep. The
impedance
scan.
scale. I mean, it showed that the muscle was okay, but I don't. Maybe I just wasn't understanding what all those numbers mean.
Mm.
But now I feel more muscular.
Mm. And you feeling leaner as well? Are you feeling the leanness?
Oh, definitely leaner. Yes, definitely leaner. I can see it. Uh, you probably can't, but I can.
Mm. No, I can see it for
I'm
sure.
just
I showed
I'm
you.
just fishing. I'm just fishing for a
No,
compliment.
I put the pictures together, man. I don't mess around. You know what I mean? You can see that waist is dialing in for sure.
Yeah.
The mindset around food, because now it almost probably feels like you're eating more in a sense, right? Because when you're fasting, you
Yes.
feel like you're eating more because you're eating more frequently. How's the mindset around food? Because this is where people go wrong, right, David? Is they feel restricted. They feel like they have to cut back and follow a certain diet. But with you, like you say, you haven't once said, we took this away, we took that away. It's just right. I had to hit this protein target. I had to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
we got a fat target where we stay under 100 grams on average, right? But yeah, go on.
Yeah, and yeah, I start at the beginning of the day, and sometimes I'll do it in advance. I plan my meal out or my meals. I know what I'm going to have for breakfast. If I have some leftover meat from the night before from the dinner, I may have that with two or three eggs, and then two or three eggs. I know how much fat there is. I know how much protein there is. So if I have more protein, maybe I cut back to only two eggs because I also learned. I want to tell you this too. I used to eat a lot of avocado, and I love avocado, and I know it's healthy for you, but I think I was eating too much healthy avocado. So now I know if I'm going to have avocado, I need to cut back somewhere else. So I try to take everything into account. So maybe I'll have two eggs and a quarter of an avocado for breakfast with whatever else I might have, or maybe save the avocado for a salad. Um, but I prioritize the protein. I make sure I have some fruit. I'm not afraid. I used to not. I was pretty much paleo or keto paleo. I would not eat much. It was very low carb. But now I will eat some sweet potato. I have a lot of fruit, especially now in the summer here. I do a lot of watermelon, a lot of blueberries, strawberries, melons, things like that. And as long as I keep my calories in check, I feel great. And if I
Mm,
need to supplement, if I can't get enough protein, I'll do a protein shake, or I'll take my, I know you like the full fat yogurt. I don't need all that fat at this point.
mm.
So I use fat free, and I put a scoop of whey protein powder, and maybe I'll have some berries with that. So, and I'm satiated. I don't feel hungry. I go out and maybe I'll take one bite of someone's dessert just to see what it tastes like, because I do enjoy good food, but I don't have sugar cravings. I feel great.
That's awesome,
I
man.
feel like I feel like eating healthy just is coming naturally, and I've studied this for years, so it's not like I just became aware. But every time you do something different, you learn more things about yourself and the process, and that's where I'm at. I love it.
Love it, man. And you're doing something strength related every day as well, right? Resistance training. You mentioned the bands, and this is the
Yes.
key. Is this speeds your metabolism up, so it gets your body burning more. Like you sat down now, your basal metabolic rate just increases as you add muscle to your body and as you send that strength signal. So you combine that with high protein. Obviously, protein costs a lot of calories to digest, and
Yep.
you're consistent with those things. Again, it's the stuff we're talking about. It's not rocket science, right? But a lot of people they get so confused. I just did a podcast on this because there's so much information out there, David. You know?
Well, there is a lot of information, and you just have to kind of figure out a way to distill it to what you can do and what you can understand. That's why I like working with you, because I've got a good base from years of experience in both exercise and eating and diet and health, nutrition. Um, and you just start putting things together as you get older and have more experience. So I like to get up first thing in the morning. I drink my warm salt water with a special apple cider vinegar tonic that I make with fresh ginger and turmeric and peppercorns and horseradish. It's crazy. I
Yeah.
go way over the
But that
top.
is one hell of a concoction there, right? Anti-inflammatory properties and those
Yeah.
things there.
Yeah.
You know what I
I
mean?
like to get outside in the sun. I listen to you, and I listen to, Huberman. I'm sorry, I have to give
Human's
him credit
Human's a
too.
legend. He's a legend, man. I watched him live here in Sydney. Legend.
Yeah. So, but I enjoy, and I have the time to do it now. That's,
Well, that's it. I
work.
wanted to talk about that, right? Because what you were touching on then is having the structure and having like a plan. Because you work well, you're a very organized guy, right? And having a plan mapped out in a calendar with like targets to hit, workouts, that works for you, right? So how have you found that? Because you can have all the information, but if you haven't got a plan to kind of execute on and maybe a
Yeah.
bit of accountability, it can be a challenge.
Well, yeah, and I think that's why this program is so great for me. I've got the nutrition plan, I've got the workout plan, so I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm going to do. I can plan accordingly. I travel, I go out of town quite often, and you always give me things to do that I can do when I'm not at home, and so I can keep going.
Mm. Yeah, man. What's been your biggest lesson or lessons over the last kind of 3 months almost? Or anything? I know you mentioned about tracking, right? That was a big one, having that awareness with food.
Yeah, for
Any other
sure. Well, I will
lessons or
tell
even
you.
mistakes? Lessons or mistakes, even?
Sometimes and I think it's natural to get obsessed with the scale, the number on the scale.
Yes, let's talk on
And
that.
yeah, so
And you
you
weigh
really
yourself
have
every
to.
day, right? Just for everyone,
I thought I was
every
supposed to
single
weigh
day it goes
myself.
update. I can see it in the calendar every day.
Uh, I thought that I was supposed to weigh myself every day. I didn't realize it was once a week, so I kept putting it in every day. But
That's all
that's
right.
fine.
That's
And
all
I mean,
right.
it goes up, goes down. Maybe
Again, it's
maybe
it's
you're
self, it's another form of self monitoring though, like tracking
yeah,
food, which works. You
yeah.
know.
But because of that, it can do a head trip on you when you go up in weight.
Yeah, I want to
So,
say, I want to just say quickly, I don't recommend most people track every day. 90% of people shouldn't be doing that. Once a week suffice. But for us, it's working at the moment.
well, since I started, I haven't stopped. But I will say, I remember there several weeks ago, I got on the scale and I weighed so much more. I was like, what the heck is going on? And then I remembered I woke up maybe a few hours before I would normally get up and to go to the bathroom. And I was real thirsty. I drank 2 huge glasses of water. And a pint is a pound the world around. So, I was up a few pounds. And I
Yeah.
had totally forgotten that I had drank the water. Then when I remembered it, I thought, oh, that's why I weigh so much more. So, I mean, there's so many variables when you do the scale.
Yeah, and
And
that's
I
why we're doing the
understand.
waist measurements, and you've noticed the waist measurements have come down a bit as well, right? So you're losing fat
Yeah.
from the right places. That's why it's important as well, right? Got to have other metrics, and you've got the body stat thing as well. So yeah, what was your? I guess a better way to put it is like, what's maybe one or two things you've kind of learned about yourself along the process, or things that lessons or mistakes that you made that you've gone, okay,
Well, to not beat myself up because I am a human being and, I like to have some drinks every now and then. I try not to do it a lot, but it's going to happen. And I try to control my calories. I'm not saying everyone should do this, but for me, it works. I'm a
no,
social
I
guy.
would argue most people do need to do this, but go on.
Okay, well, I have I have a lot of friends and, do stuff together. And so, I will make arrangements if I know I'm gonna, if something big is coming up, maybe I'll cut back on the calories earlier in the day, but I do not sacrifice my protein. That is number one. I don't care if I cut back on other things just so, I can make up for it. But protein is something I will not cut back on
Yeah, I love that, man. Love that.
in
Okay,
order to maybe have something extra that I wouldn't normally have.
yeah, and I'm glad, so glad you touched on the social element, right? This is the biggest challenge for most people, social influence. If you've got a friend who's obese, for example, they did a 20-year study on millions of people, you got a 50% or 48% chance higher being, chance of being obese. So who you're around is everything. So with yourself, you plan ahead for these things, right? So you go to Kansas, on average, you go to Kansas City every couple of weeks. That's like a 4 or 5 day thing you're going for. Any tips for the audience? Because this is the biggest challenge for most people. You said about planning ahead, you bank some calories up. Like, what's the mindset around that, David?
Well, especially with traveling, I take food with me in the car. I'll have apples, I'll have fruit, I'll have maybe some organic or grass-fed beef sticks,
Turkey, beef stick.
different snacks that I can have because it's very easy to pull off at the gas station, go to a convenience store, and I mean, if all else fails, I'd get some kind of a protein bar, but those aren't the greatest, but I suppose it's better than nothing. But I just feel better if I take my own food, take my water or whatever, tea, whatever I want to drink. And then I will stop along the way and get out and do some steps because it's a 5-hour drive for me and it's not good to sit that long. But, I just plan ahead and I take my bands with me. They pack easily in my bag. So it's real easy
Mm.
for me.
No,
For
there we
me,
go. Planning ahead. There we are. It's very simple, but a
yeah.
lot of people
But
don't.
again, because you have given me the protocol and the program, and I know this is the third time we've changed something or second time, I can't remember.
With the
But
training.
anyway, with the training,
Yeah,
so
third time. Yeah,
you're keeping me on my toes. I don't know what you're going to do next, but I'm
exactly.
always excited to know what are we doing now?
Yeah, exactly. And all right, cool. So that's really, really helpful for the audience as well as that social piece. But let's talk on that as well in terms of like when you go to restaurants, right, David?
Uh-huh.
What's because the thing is you actually enjoy eating whole foods. You eat all whole foods primarily, and you've kind
Yep.
of programmed your brain to do that for a long time, which is there's no way around that, right? If the quality of your food is not you're not eating at least 90% whole foods, you're going to really struggle to not overeat a lot of the times because those foods are kind of designed to make you overeat. So when you go to restaurants and stuff, you like, having your oysters and stuff like that, right? Do you ever look at a menu in advance or do you just kind of, where
Oh,
how do
yes.
you navigate that?
Yeah, I will look at a menu and see what's going on. Sometimes, depending on the situation, I have no control over the restaurant that's being chosen for whatever. It's not like I do this all the time, but if I am doing it, I make the best decision I can, which could be, maybe it's a burger, and I just don't eat I don't necessarily eat the bun. Or it's a salad with a grilled chicken breast with this dressing on the side, and because I'm not, I don't like to, I don't like to consume the seed oils, and who even knows what kind of olive oil they might serve. But
Canola oil
I'm
in
just,
disguise.
yeah, I try to be careful and do the best I can. And sometimes, I've never done this, but I hear about people that there's a secret menu if you go to the drive-through at McDonald's and you ask for just the patties, you could get four
I've
well,
seen
you
that.
don't Australia, I don't know what you call it, the quarter pounder with
Yeah, yeah, no,
cheese,
same thing. Yeah, yeah.
whatever I think it's the Royale. I saw that movie.
Yeah, yeah,
Any Pulp Fiction. Anyway,
yeah.
so you
Classic.
can just order the the burger, the patties by themselves. I've never done it, but I
Yeah.
suppose if you were,
Yeah,
there's
it's a
McDonald's
better
everywhere.
alternative, isn't it? So it's always about alternatives and best decisions you can make with what you've got available, right? But that's why it's like the simple things with taking food with you on that trip. People just like they don't think ahead like that, and they don't realize that actually that's what holds you back a lot of the times is hitting the off button. You can't get away with hitting the off button every weekend and get
Like
results
I
right.
will tell you, even before I started working with you years ago, I think I knew that just not how much protein I needed, but I knew protein was satiating and probably not as fattening as other things would be. I'd stop at a grocery store and get a rotisserie chicken.
Yeah,
If
that's what I
I'm
used to do.
on my way somewhere traveling, and I just eat it in the car. Now that's kind of messy and fatty, but it's better than
It's going
having
to stop you eating as much, though, man, for sure. It's going to keep you more satiated, the salt, the protein,
yeah.
you know? And that's the thing. Like, yeah, it might have more fat on it, but you're going to eat less all in all, right? If you go for sugar or you refine foods and you're not having the protein on those journeys, you're in trouble, right? Because you just eat more.
But I have never done strict carnivore, but I have eaten a lot of protein with nothing else, just for maybe a day or two for whatever reason, and I feel great. I feel lighter,
And
quite
you eat more
honestly. I
carbs than
don't
you've
think I would
eaten.
do it all the time.
And you're
What's
eating more
that?
carbs than you've eaten.
Yeah, I am definitely eating more carbs than I was, especially with the fruit. I
Mm,
really like the fruit, and that satisfies my sweet tooth too.
great stuff. Awesome, man. So, yeah, so I guess what I want the audience to kind of get as well is like it's long term, right? You've just signed up for another year, right? How are you going to manage another
Yes.
12 months of me, lurking?
Well, I've set up a lemonade stand so I can make a few extra bucks uh, outside my house. No, I'm really committed to seeing what can come of this, especially at my age. So, and I mean, at 66, yeah, it's old for many of the people who might be watching this, but it's really not. You get to this age and you realize, oh my God, I feel like I feel like a 7-year old with my in my head, but I look in my mirror, I see that I am older, but I feel fine. I feel great. I mean, I have limitations, but I keep plugging. I keep plugging along.
Keep plugging along, man. That's the only way. I was just going to say then as well, in terms of where you're at now, I've kind of lost my trail of thought a bit there, but there we go. That's fine. But yeah, over 12 months, right? So for example, now we've got another 12 months lined up, and with where you're at now, you've been smashing it over the last 90 days, and now it's a case of going to new levels, right? So that's what I was going to say. How much have you lost now in pounds altogether? It's
Maybe 10 pounds.
yeah, about 10
I
pounds.
think I've lost
Is
around
it in
10
kilos? That's
pounds.
why I'm asking you because it confused the shit out
Yeah,
of me. I was
yeah.
thinking 4 kilos.
Yeah,
What is that in pounds?
I'm not 2 point. I don't know.
So, and
Those
just for the audience now, so you've lost 10 pounds, right? And what we're going to do now is we've got another couple of weeks on this training phase where we're going to keep. So, David has basically been in a deficit for over the space of like, let's just round off to 12 weeks. For about 8 weeks of that, we've had you in a deficit. The first 4 weeks, we had you kind of maintenance. We had just kind of kickstarting your metabolism. And then we brought you down to a deficit. And we'll continue this for another couple of weeks. And then what we're going to do is bump him up to like maintenance calories. So increase the calories a bit to fuel his body for some heavy lifting again, right? So we'll do lower reps,
yeah,
focus on strength, build a muscle. And what that does then is that'll reboot your metabolism. Even though you don't feel restricted, it gives you a bit of a psychological break as well, even though you don't necessarily need that. Eating more, fueling your body more for training, getting more nourishment as well, because naturally you're eating more food. And that'll work wonders then for the next level.
yeah.
And go on.
No, this is what's new for me. I've never really worked with the nutrition piece
Mm,
like we are now. I
yeah.
mean, yeah, I've been very aware of nutrition, but not like what I'm learning from you
Mm,
about the different cycles, so to speak.
100%. And
And again, I don't feel like I'm doing without.
mm,
Not hungry. I feel satisfied and satiated, and it's going to be interesting to see, especially when you up my calories. And of course, right now I'm doing a high rep, lower weight,
that's
and you're
right.
going to a lower reps with higher weight when you're
Absolutely.
giving me more calories. So
Definitely.
that'll
And
be
and,
interesting to
and
see.
deload week, right? It's another thing that people overlook as well.
Oh,
You
yeah, that
enjoyed
was my
that, didn't you?
favorite part is yeah, there
My
was
favorite
a
part was
yeah,
that week when we just did the bands and mobility, man. People hate that. See, it's interesting you enjoyed that. I'm glad you did.
yeah. No, I remember there was a woman in our CrossFit class years ago, and if she didn't break a sweat, she didn't feel like she had done a good workout. And
Mm.
if she wouldn't show up, you could see what the workouts were going to be, and she wouldn't show up if it wasn't something that would make her sweat.
And
So,
that's the big, and I'm glad you touched on that as well, because that's the biggest trap that people fall into. They think, right, if I go to the gym, I've got to get a sweat on, I've got to make sure my legs are aching for a week. And that's the opposite to what you want. It's okay getting a sweat on here and there. Like I'm sure you're getting a little bit of a sweat on now, maybe you with the high
oh,
props.
for sure. But I'm just saying that, there are certain exercises that one would do where you're not really going to perspire,
Yeah,
as
like lifting
opposed to
heavy as
like
an
that,
example, isn't it?
like I hit,
Yeah, like a
uh,
short one. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, got it.
So,
But just for the because it's about health as well, right, David? Everything we're talking about here, right? Longevity, health. It's not about just like living longer. It's about like adding life to your years. And when we talk about strength, muscle's the longevity organ. So and how physically strong you are determines how long you're going to live. So that's what we're going to focus on over the next 12 months. Now we're going to focus on for the most part of that building muscle and strength, and you look better anyway. People don't realize that even just by adding a few pounds of muscle, you look way better because muscle's dense. It makes you look tighter, more sculpted, athletic, or whatever you want to call it. So over the next 12 months, you'll be primarily building muscle and strength, and then we'll throw in some fat loss phases in there as well. So again, over a period of time, you would have built a significant amount of muscle, lost a significant amount of body fat, and then obviously metabolic health,
yeah,
improved
I
drastically.
tell you the other thing that I mean, we did touch on this, but I just want to reiterate that the muscle is so important. And again, I realize that as I look back on when I was doing the intermittent fasting and lost so much weight, but now it's different.
Mm,
I feel better. I feel stronger. So
that's awesome, man. Love
I
it.
think people think, they if you have the willpower to not eat, that you're going to lose weight, and you will lose weight, but you lose fat and you lose muscle. So the key is to keep the muscle. At least that seems to be the prevailing wisdom in these days, that muscle is something worthwhile to have. So I'm going
100%.
with it. I'm going with it.
100%, man. And what advice
But
would you?
so is a little scotch. No, every now and then.
A little bit of scotch here and there, and it just
Or
goes to show,
bourbon.
right? Like you've been having a few drinks here. And to be fair, though, you've been drinking less than you normally would, most likely. Would you say it's summertime as well, or probably about the same?
It may be about the same. It all, it cycles up and down depending on what's going on. But I'm very aware of it, and uh, I just try not to overdo it
Mm.
very often.
Yeah, yeah,
Too
yeah,
often.
exactly. But that's the thing. Like you drink in a social setting as well, right? It's like
Yeah.
you're having a few drinks. You're on the ball 95% of the time. Having a few drinks, it's actually balances things out, right? It's not about
Yeah.
being perfect. A lot of people they have that with food, right? So most people it's food and alcohol where they
Yeah.
struggle with the food, right? But for you, we all have a vice. We all have a vice. Yours is I want a couple of drinks, but you don't take the piss rarely. You know what I mean? Maybe
Yeah.
every now and then,
Yeah.
but
Well, but no, I just you plan for it, and I've learned to plan for it, I guess. But I do think that it can disrupt your sleep, and I have also learned how important sleep is. I never, you hear it all the time. I'll sleep when I'm dead, and that's not that's not a healthy way to be. But when I was a kid, no one talked about that. It was just work, work, work. Just keep
100%.
pushing yourself. But now, and of course, being retired helps too. Um, but I used to have to get up very early in the morning, and I just do whatever I needed to do. I wouldn't even think about the fact that maybe I didn't get even 6 hours of sleep. But
Mm.
now I'd say I average anywhere from 6.5 to 7.5 hours of sleep. Uh, and I think I'm better for it.
Tammy retired, right? 'Cause you still do a bit of work
Yeah,
here and there. I know you're
I
retired
still,
technically, but you still do a little bit of work here and there,
I
don't you know
do,
what I
I
mean?
do, I do.
Yeah.
You need anything? You need you need a chef?
Hey, anyone's looking for a chef, man? David's the man. If I come over there, mate, I'm coming over for dinner, right? For sure. But what would you say to the older version of yourself, right, when it comes to health, wellness, being in shape, longevity. What would you say to like maybe if you could go back like 30 years, knowing what you know now, because the information wasn't there back then, right? Really, like it is now. What advice would you give to yourself about getting in shape, being fit, being healthy? Would you change anything? Would you give yourself any advice?
Well, I wish I knew then what I know now, and then maybe I'd be further along. Maybe I don't know. I would say that sleep is important, nutrition is important, getting outside in the sun and being active and moving, just having movement, just walking, riding a bike, whatever it might be, and of course, strength training. If you can do it all, that's what I would say. Do it all.
Awesome. So I want to kind of wrap this up with, right? There's going to be a lot of people because I know because they reach out, right? They sit on the fence for like years. If there's say there's someone sitting on the fence now, right? Like maybe like you were, but you weren't really though, right? Because of the dynamic of how we connected. But that's fine.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone who's like, and even if it's not sitting on the fence with the program, about actually just taking action on their health?
Oh, so important. And the unfortunate thing is, most people that they think about it, but they won't do anything about it. And I mean, I've had a lot of friends, people that I know that look to what I've done and what I've accomplished. And, when I started seeing results, I kind of was guilty of proselytizing about it. And that doesn't work.
Mm,
Uh, People have to want to do it. There's no other way.
mm,
Someone can beat you into submission, but that's not going to work. You have
exactly.
to want to. But I would say that this is a great way to do it. To have someone that you can be accountable to get the program, to know what steps to take, to have a total plan and understand what's going on, and have the accountability. That makes all the difference in the world. I don't know. I don't know how many people could do this on their own.
Mm.
Maybe they could eventually after time, but this just makes all the difference in the world.
100%, man. And just if anyone is thinking about joining, just click the link beneath in the show notes anyway, and you can fill out the inquiry form and see if I can help you. Or just like Dave had, right? You had a free, we run a metabolic assessment, right? You can get a free metabolic assessment first, can assess where you're at, give you your metabolic score, map out a road plan, a roadmap for free anyway, and then
Yeah.
kind of take things from there if I can
And
definitely help
I
you.
will tell you also that aside from the program itself, it's always a pleasure talking with you. It's just fun. I have a good time. We have
Same.
good banter, and it's very enjoyable. It's
No,
enjoyable.
it's enjoyable, man. I enjoy it too. I enjoy the check-ins that we have. We have a laugh as well. You know what I mean? We do the problem-solving stuff, but we also have some fun with it, right? And that's what it's
Yeah,
all about
definitely, definitely.
on those check-in calls, man. So yeah, all good, mate. I really enjoyed that, and it was good to kind of pick your brain. As always, enjoyed the
Well,
chat.
yeah. Anyone who's thinking about it, Martin's the man.
All right,
He's
yeah.
a man with a plan.
I'm a man with a plan, right? So just click the link beneath in the show notes if you want to fill out the coaching inquiry form or just fill out the metabolic assessment form and get a free assessment. All right, my man. Thanks again, mate. I appreciate you
All
jumping
right.
on, and the audience will get a ton of value from that. And look, sometimes people think as well. I get this question a lot with age, right? I'm trying to make you feel like an old man now, but realistically, people in their 60s and stuff, they're like, oh, is it too late to take action? It's actually too late not to take action, right? It gets even more important as you go
Absolutely.
along, you
Yeah.
know?
It's never too late to start. Never too late to start. I
100.
see it. I ride my bike in my neighborhood first thing in the morning. I've seen this guy several mornings. He's walking along the street with his walker, and he's walking.
Yeah.
And I think, wow. I mean,
Oh,
I got
hey,
to give that guy kudos.
you just reminded me now. There's a guy that gets up early in the morning just across in the apartment block. Old guy, must be in his 80s, and you see him pacing up and down his balcony with his walker, like with the
Yeah.
sunlight, getting his
Yeah.
mobility in the morning. You're like, fair play,
Yeah. No, that's impressive.
awesome, man. All right, my man, great to chat.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, man.